It's the Off-Grid Prep Family Podcast.
Hi everybody, we're back. It's the Off-Grid Prep Family Podcast.
Yeah, episode 48. We
Yeah.
had a bit of a break. We've been busy. I'm assuming you all have been busy too.
Yeah.
It's that time of year.
Mm-hmm.
So we're back today to talk about prepping versus homesteading versus off-grid living.
Yeah.
Are they the same?
I think they're very different things.
They are.
Yeah.
There can be a natural progression, and eventually a lot of people kind of do all three.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to do one in order to do the other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, once you start and then you really commit to it, you realize that the goal is the same for everybody.
That's true.
And that's to be as self-sufficient as possible.
Right.
And a lot of people start with homesteading.
Right.
You start with baking.
It's trendy now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been trendy for a few years. Prepping is more of a state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do both homesteading and prepping.
But you don't have to.
You don't have to live
Some
off the
people
grid.
just buy the food and store it away and don't really think about it again, right?
Yeah. Once you get into the process, and it's all about how much your mindset changes as you're doing it and why you're doing it.
Right.
But ultimately, if you really commit to either homesteading or prepping, you tend to lean to realizing the kind of the poison setup of the grid itself and
Right.
the whole design, the politics.
And once you get used to being sort of independent and self-reliant with some things,
Yeah.
then those few things that are left in your life start to drive you a little crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, really, you'll be guided.
Yeah.
Right? If you're committed to it, all it takes is one little emergency, and it's like,
Oh, I need to cover that.
okay.
Yeah.
So it can start as a fun thing.
Yeah, and it's sort of a natural progression, right? It's like a lot of people might start with prepping. Even just like building skills, getting like a community, like a
Right.
mag organized, putting some supplies away.
Yep.
It's just to cushion yourself from unexpected events,
Yeah.
big or small, right?
Yeah.
So like job loss, a hurricane, hyperinflation,
An illness.
yeah, like a long unexpected illness.
Yeah,
It
a
can really-
flood.
forest fires, EMPs and CMEs.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to
Yeah.
really, and that's why we're prepping is really it's a state of mind.
Yeah,
like
it's
a
not about
shift of
zombies. It's like,
how you
I need to
think about
cushion.
life. Yeah.
Yeah. And what does my family need
Right.
to be comfortable and not have worries?
And you don't. And what is great about having a prepping mindset is it certainly doesn't have to be negative, but it's looking at wealth a different way.
Right.
So you don't have to have a sub-zero fridge, and you don't have to have a giant fancy house, and you can do all of these on, as we've tried to put forth many times
Yeah.
on the show, on quite a budget.
Yeah.
You just have to know to look, and it starts with
And prepping, like homesteading, some people, it costs them money, but if you're doing it right, it saves you money.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to take a quick break to talk about our first sponsors. First, let's do the Off-Grid Prep Family Ultimate Planner.
The Ultimate Planner. You've been selling quite a few of these now.
Yeah, it's a really popular time of year. I guess people are trying to get their lives organized. These are giant 500-page planners to get all of your home, homestead, home learning, home business, home preparedness, all organized and streamlined. There's about 12 different versions now. They're all basically the same inside. The cover's different.
Yep.
So you just pick the one that you like the best.
Looks pretty on your counter.
Yeah. So if you just go to Amazon and search Off-Grid Prep Family Ultimate Planner, you'll see a lot of options there for you.
Yeah.
And we hope you like it. It's only $15.99.
And it's a real thing. This isn't a copy edit. This is something you built over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Just out of necessity.
Yeah.
And it just started as Excel spreadsheets,
And-
just to keep track of things.
And frankly, it's cheaper just to buy it from Amazon for me than it is to print it myself. So it's handy for me to have it on Amazon, but it's also handy for you.
That's right.
Let's also talk about 1 Year Food real quick.
That's
Also on Amazon. Paperback or Kindle Unlimited if you want to take a peek inside.
How'd you get the look inside on there?
Because it's on Kindle. So since it's on
Right.
Kindle, you can look
Right,
inside.
yeah.
But if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can download it, take a look, and see if it's for you.
Yep.
It's basically one entire year of food storage for
Yeah.
a large family with all the recipes, how often you can make each meal, the ingredients, and even how to grow the majority of it yourself.
And just like with the Ultimate Planner, it's the most economical option is to just buy the paperback for $15.99.
Yes, you can download it to print yourself off of our website. That's offgridprepfamily.com. If you click on the store, it's about half the price, but then you've got to print the thing. Yeah. So, 2 Christmas ideas.
Yeah.
If you want to put those on your prepper Christmas wish list. Okay, so prepper, you're just aiming to survive. Yeah. Might even just be for a few days or a few weeks.
Yeah. But that is the overall theme. Is it's I said it's not a negative thing, but it is kind of a response to a negative instances. Yeah. It could just
most
be the news
people start
or whatever.
Because they go through like a big storm or a hurricane or a flood or they've lost a job and they realize they need a cushion of...
Or a lockdown and you have no food in the house.
Yeah, it's amazing how little
it doesn't take
people
much.
have in their house.
Yeah.
So once you get to the point where you realize you can't possibly store enough food or supplies, then you might start thinking homesteader.
Yeah, or you'll approach homesteader from a hobbyist point of view, like making pretty things, which is what our daughter does.
Right, she just wants
loves to create
artisanal bread.
Yeah, and she's really good at it. Yeah, but it's purely an enjoyment thing for her.
It's the
baking
aesthetic
and crafts and painting. But as a prepper, you'll start to realize that the grocery store food, like the standard canned stuff, either isn't available, or you can't. You can't store that much food, like you said. So
this is just, you're desiring to live a more traditional, sustainable life.
Yeah, so this is learning how to can food.
But we're not trying to store 50 years worth of food.
No.
You're approaching it more of like as a yearly cycle. Yeah. So like I no longer try to store 3 years worth of starches. No. Because I know that next year I can grow another 400 pounds of potatoes and I know exactly how much I need. Yeah. I know how to do it, so I'm not going to try and store more than that.
And this is important because, this is very important, what you just said there, is once you get into it, it takes years to learn how to garden properly.
Oh, yeah, you can't
and rear animals.
Yeah.
Like everything from chickens to goats. We haven't done pigs,
not easy.
It is very difficult, and we couldn't give the advice because your garden changes. Like it's specific to who you are and where you are, and so it's like getting in our previous episodes when we talk about the best time to start. It's now.
Yeah. You're not going to open that pack of survival storage seeds and be eaten in 6 weeks.
Exactly. So
the first garden's probably going to suck, and the second one's probably going to suck too. Like, it takes a long time. You got to build your soil. Yeah. There's a lot of infrastructure to put in. Animals, even more so.
Yeah, especially if you've got wild soil that's a field or a forest. Like we had a forest, and it takes... We're still getting the bugs out.
And we
still can't grow cabbage.
No.
Like, it just doesn't.
So many we probably
moths.
could if we didn't want to... do it organically.
I suppose.
The only way we could do cabbage is if we used all the sprays that all the farms around us use. But it's also about bartering or finding good local sources. Like you can be a homesteader in the city and you just like find that local, farmer, and you get your milk and you get your meat and you're making sourdough bread and you've got a little pot of tomatoes on your balcony. That's all homesteading.
Yeah, for us, meat, like we've done Meat King chickens, and we've done them very well. We were really good at it. But at the end of the day, it was like $4 a pound is what it cost us.
That's what it cost.
And we still have 2 sources of beef locally for $4 a pound. So it makes no sense to us.
Yeah, it's just for variety.
Meat. Yeah.
But it's not...
The amount of work?
Yeah, but it's good to know and to know how to do it, and then you can put that skill on the shelf and pull it out as needed.
In that process of, finding the feed and just talking to people, that's how we found other sources of meat outside of the grocery store. So that's what homesteading is all about.
So it's combining like the prepper stuff with also producing and
your community.
The community more. And it's all about, being a producer rather than a consumer. Yeah. Everybody these days is a consumer, and we're really trying to not be. Yeah. We're being producers.
Yes.
To me, off-grid is the next natural step. Some people are off-grid, and they're not a prepper or a homesteader.
Can I just go back to homesteading? I just had a thought that's really important. is we are definitely trying to become producers, but it is still very difficult. And this kind of ties into why we haven't done an episode in so long, is our youngest is just going through this awful sleep cycle.
Yeah.
And we just renovated the kitchen, and it's just been so many projects, but we're years into this, and we had some previous knowledge and experience, and we're still figuring out all of the logistics between the cost of feed and the, just this year, or within the last 2 months or 3 months, we went from 19 hens down to 4. They just got picked off. I saw the falcon twice.
Yeah.
But there must have been other animals out there, and just, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago, we lost 4 in one day.
Yeah.
We had to go buy some hens.
Yeah, and they're on lockdown now. They're not coming out.
No, we're no longer. Oh, and we've done years of free range, and this is definitely a homesteading tip. We've done years of free range, and our egg yolks are so lovely and orange, like this deep orange color. However, we lost so many hens so fast. And that's a change. Like, we thought we knew our forest, and we thought we had...
suddenly, the predator load is completely different here.
It just went off the map. Yeah, or off the charts.
Yeah.
And so we've locked our hens in, and that's... Even after all these years, we were so surprised.
It's a bummer to me to not have them out and roaming around. I really like
Oh, they're great to watch.
But not if they're going to get eaten.
Yeah. So we've got new hens. We have been thinking about doing pigs, but I don't think we have the time this year.
We're still playing around with that, but maybe not this month.
Yeah, but these are all things to start thinking about now in terms of prepping, and then, yes, homesteading.
Yeah.
Because you want to be mentally prepared if one day we go to buy beef from our friend and they don't have any.
Right.
Or something happens.
It's just like the redundancy.
Yeah.
If you haven't listened to our redundancy episode, 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to have backups backups for your backups. So, okay, off-grid.
Yes.
Not all rectangles are squares, but all squares are rectangles, right? You could live off-grid in a boat like we have. You might be a bit of a prepper doing that, but you're probably not a homesteader.
Yeah, you could do it in a van.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much.
But you're not homesteading.
No.
Yeah.
Homesteading takes a lot of energy because you're home all the time. If you've got children, as we do.
Yeah.
There's all these resources. You have to have the freezer working, or things just have to work, and that is a huge difference than some tiny little setup in a van.
You're trying to be your own grocery store.
Yeah, like I've got a 5 kilowatt solar array, which is just enough.
Yeah.
You're not going to fit that.
You're not getting that even on a Provo,
Yeah.
whatever they're called. Yeah. For many, we start as a prepper, and we realize it's impossible to store enough food, so you move on to homesteading.
Yep.
And then you keep some of the prepping up, right? And some things drop. Like, we're buying what we grow. You don't buy what you grow anymore, right?
Yeah.
Then, as you get more comfortable spinning both of those plates, you want that next step of independence.
And that's going off the grid.
No bills. No power outages. You've got that freezer full of meat you worked so hard for.
It's fuel, too. Yeah. Off the grid is burning wood where you can.
Yeah.
If you are allowed to burn wood, burn that wood.
Yeah.
Trees grow all the time. Yeah. Like, they're still growing. Where we live, our little area, this whole piece of land, like the entire island, was wiped out in the 1960s, I think it was, or 50s. There were no trees here. Yeah. Like, except for big estates and in the cities.
But if you look at, like
if you look at a satellite map,
yeah.
Like, the time map is just, boom, I think it was the 30s.
Okay.
And then, by the 70s, it was completely regrown.
Forest, and then they had to start
logging and doing maintenance. And so, don't worry about burning trees. Yeah. They grow all the time.
They start making them every day.
If the sun keeps coming up, trees keep growing.
So if we keep up with the prepping and the homestead, but then we add the off-grid, we again get to, like, drop a few of those things. Like, I don't put very much thought into shelf-stable meats anymore.
No.
Like, I don't can meat unless I want it.
Yeah.
Because my freezer is not going to lose power. No. And I have a backup freezer.
Yeah.
I don't bother as much with, like, water storage, like storing big jugs of water.
Because we live, and it took us a few years to work all the kinks out, but we harvest our rainwater.
Yeah.
And we have over almost 3,000.
2250?
Yeah, over 2,000 gallons of rainwater storage, which for a family of 9 translates to, I think we got a solid 2 months.
Yeah.
If we go through a dry spell.
Even if, like, that's with laundry and everything. Yeah.
Laundry every day, dishwasher every day, showers constantly.
So we have just enough if we need to, like, bug out for some random reason. But because we're constantly harvesting and storing and filtering that rainwater, I don't worry about water storage. And
to put it in perspective, like today we have pretty much full tanks going into the winter. Today it was an average of -2 Celsius, so solidly below freezing. And yet when the sun came out in the afternoon, I heard drippies going in the tank.
Right.
Which happens all the time. So it's a constant thing, and that's being prepared. But when we started, and we were living in that cottage, before we got those water tanks set up, we were buying water at the grocery store.
The big jugs,
Yeah, because we didn't have any water.
Yeah.
Like none. And harvest your water if you've got a creek nearby. Like this is off-grid
and
things.
And we've been talking about redundancy in I think we have a water episode earlier on if you want to go back and listen to that. But there's lots of options, and it's really better if you have 2 or 3 options available to you.
Yeah.
So like as you add each layer, prepping, homesteading, off-grid living, you just add more resiliency. You have more backups, you have more redundancy, and it all becomes easier.
Yeah, it all becomes kind of a natural ecosystem in your life. Yeah. Everything starts working together.
You don't have to think about it as much.
The choices of what to get away from, the things that don't work for you anymore, you just kind of forget about them.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, we used to do that. But
we never got into the whole DoorDash or whatever. Like we did go to restaurants, and we still do once a month or so when we're out occasionally.
But for our family, it's so expensive.
Oh, it's insane. No, it's just it's like coffee once a month.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you start getting into this lifestyle and really commit to it, like when you're in a normal lifestyle, it's impossible to see how to get out sometimes. Right. But when you get yourself out and you start prepping and hanging out with different people in different groups and thinking differently, suddenly one day it's not a big deal to never eat convenience food. Never. Yeah. So
let's take a quick second to talk about some Christmas ideas for the prepper in your life. For example, if you go to our store, offgridprepfamily.com, click on the store tab, you'll find the Learn Morse hoodie. I think there's a t-shirt too. It's $39.50 Canadian, which is a pretty good deal. High quality t-shirt, and it helps you learn Morse code and teach your friends.
Hoodie for $39.50.
Yes.
That'd be an expensive t-shirt.
Right.
It's great. The kids learn Morse with this strange method that we found, and it was fast.
It teaches you to hear and communicate with the sounds of the Morse language rather than trying to learn dashes and dots. So the kids or you hear the sound and you think M. There's no like extra translation involved. Kids as young as 3 have learned to communicate with Morse code using this method, and everyone needs a cozy go-to hoodie to curl up in.
That's right.
So get yours today so that it can come in time for Christmas. What else do you want to give a shout out to today?
Thrive Life Foods.
Yeah, get 15% off your first order, and they always have a big Black Friday sale. I haven't looked today, but it'll be starting up sometime this week, and it's the best deal of the year, and you can combine that. If you go to our friends and affiliates page on our site, you can click on that link to get 15% off.
So when you go from prepping to homesteading, you no longer worry about storing 5 years worth of eggs.
Yeah.
If you have some hens and a rooster to watch over the flock, which is fairly important, but not bulletproof as we found out. Then maybe just a year's worth is all you need, or just 6 months, just in case. And once you start the homesteading, it makes prepping easier. And once you go off the grid, it makes being a homesteader much easier.
Yeah, and prepping too, because you have money, you have freedom, you have options.
Yeah, because it's like suddenly when you're fully immersed in this, every moment of your day is committed to this new lifestyle, and it's incredibly cheap to live like this. Like the money we don't spend is unbelievable.
Yeah. So then you can spend it on other stuff.
And then you can spend most of your time at home.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. And we're lucky. We started this young-ish and young enough. And now that this is our normal life, we have 40 plus years ahead of us.
Yeah.
With this really nice life.
The infrastructure's in. We don't have to build it again. We don't have to do the fencing.
Yeah, and one day, changes might come. Changes will come, but we're set in what we always wanted to do. And it was a ton of work getting here, but it was worth it, for sure.
Yeah.
You want to try and do 2 years worth of produce when in your garden produces well?
Yes.
That's important.
And some things really only do well every other year, like fruit trees, blueberries. So, you're on like sort of a biannual schedule then, but still, you're not having to store a whole bunch of 25-year shelf life stuff. Yeah. Just a little bit for just in case.
And your eating habits change too. Yeah. Like quite a bit.
Yeah, like if it's coming out of the garden or it's eggs and they're free. Yeah. You center all your meals around that. You do. Suddenly
you're making decadent quiches and custards just to use up eggs. Yeah. Which are great.
Today we had 3 different kinds of meat on our pizza at lunch because we had to use it up. It was like lamb, homemade sausage.
That lamb, we got some free lamb from a few months ago from a friend. Yeah. It was wonderful of her. And it was during the hurricane and the freezer died, so they had to do something with the meat, so we got it for free. We recently turned it into sausage, and that's just another homesteading thing. Yeah. Just because we're part of this group, so loosely, it opens up these opportunities. And so here I am eating lamb sausage for breakfast. It's ridiculous. So decadent. Yeah. Anyway, if you start as a homesteader, you may need to go back to the prepper mindset and to shore some things up, like well pump, generator, water filtration, security, first aid, and meds. These are things that preppers do first. Right. But of course, homesteading, as I think we pointed out, preppers ultimately do need to learn how to homestead, which is more of a lifestyle. Yeah. And so once you're prepped, or maybe during your prepping, you'll get into it. But really, all 3 things do tie together. Being off the grid is ultimately, it's the kind of the apex of prepping. Yeah. Like once you've prepped enough, you will realize, I need to get myself batteries and a system. And
that'll run everything. Yeah. Not just like a cute little thing in a backpack.
During our hurricane here, what were the longest times without power? 4 weeks, 5 weeks?
I think there was more than 4 weeks, and there was still a few hundred people without power.
Without power? Yeah. Like, that's crazy.
It's a long
People
time.
Couldn't shower. They couldn't run their well pumps. Yeah. Like
your toilet doesn't flush.
I can't imagine how sick people are going to get from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's our, it's not a versus, it's a and.
Yeah, yes. Yes.
Well, I think that's all I had to say about that. Do you want to talk about what we've been up to over the last month or so?
We made some lamb sausage.
We made a lot of lamb sausage. If you want to see that, it's on our Instagram with the recipe that we used. Yeah. We have a lot more sausage to make. But we're trying to do it maybe one day a week. And just work through all the stuff in the freezer slowly.
Yeah, we had a really interesting summer. It was very... I don't know. It was just a weird year.
Yeah, it's been a weird year. Yeah. I think a lot of people could say that. Yeah. Yeah, so we're focused now on doing what the family needs.
Well, and we're focused on the family and God, and just, we're really thankful for everything that we've been through.
We had to deal with the quandary of what to do about our hens, because you need a certain number of hens in your barn to keep the other hens from freezing, right?
Yeah, and to keep enough eggs. For us, it's about a minimum of 12 hens. Yeah. Good hens, like
we like to keep layers. About 20 to 24, because then we have enough for other things. But even just breakfast, we'll go through a dozen easily. Oh, yeah. So it was like, do we sell the hens that we have left and then have nothing and have to buy eggs all winter? Or do we try and find more hens, which is really hard to do right now?
It was, but we got really lucky.
We did.
We
got 9 more.
Yeah, we had to drive halfway across the province to get them.
Yes, but there they are. Yeah. So they're all keeping each other warm now. That's 35 BTU per hen. So I don't know how many BTUs we have in that barn now, but it's enough.
It's enough. Yeah, it was really toasty in there today and yesterday.
Yeah, it's amazing. Chicken power. It's another off-grid.
Yeah, we like chickens. We've tried different animals, and chickens are definitely our go-to animal.
They're so easy.
Because you can eat them.
They've got eggs. eggs.
They've got eggs. They take care of themselves better than most. Like they do kind of poop up their barn a little bit, but we use shavings, and it's definitely better than straw.
It's a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah.
We also were wondering, like, do you do chicks in the fall? Because we're going to need more hens in the spring, but it's easy and pretty cheap for us to buy point of lays in the spring. Mm-hmm. And so,
but it might not be next year.
You never know if they're going to be available. Yeah. So
they're doing so many weird political
things,
tactical maneuvers now to try and make sure people can't take care of themselves.
Yeah. Food is power.
Yeah.
How do we keep our hens laying in the winter? Do you want to put that tidbit in there?
Well,
last year we only had 2 weeks without eggs.
That's right. They molted. It was their natural molt cycle, and it was in the middle of February. I don't even think it was 2 weeks, but they did just stop, all of them, suddenly. But no, we got to give them meat or fat, scraps.
Yeah, so we give them, if we're doing a bunch of beef, we give them the tallow. Mm-hmm. People say it's about supplementing light, but that's only because light makes them eat more, and calories make them lay.
I think it's a whole thing.
If you
got to keep them happy, and they like them happy
to eat and meat. Warm, and if you give them calories, they will continue to lay. If they stop laying and you don't think they're molting, you give them some dairy, which they're mildly allergic to. It gives them the runs and it makes them lay. Just a little trick for you there. Right. You can only do that every once in a while, but you can do it
once a year.
Yeah.
But it does work. Yeah. We got our firewood this month.
Yeah, if you're following us on Instagram, you saw 6 giant dump loads of firewood laying in our yard.
He bought a new trailer this year, so it worked out better for us because he only charges us for the fuel.
Yeah.
But our buddy, he's got a sawmill. He does a lot of work, and all year he's been saving his end cuts for us, which 2 of our Amish friends do that too.
Right.
We saw their barn full of end cuts from the stuff that their friends mill. Yeah. And it's great because most of it you don't have to split.
Yeah.
And the bark burns as long as it's seasoned.
So you just chainsaw it up into little chunks.
So it doesn't. It's easy. Great. Not splitting wood is actually a really.
Yeah, and we have a splitter.
We have a splitter and a nice big axe, but it's
the time
to not have to split is awesome.
Yeah, and so we just pay him for the fuel and his time, which is not very much, and it's great. We did a lot of food storage, topping stuff up, as I'm sure that the rest of you are.
Yeah, big trips.
You'll see that on Instagram too, putting stuff in jars, making sure that it stays good. Because these days food is expensive. You don't want it to go bad when you've already paid for it.
Yeah, now we're working on we're getting the house almost finished up. It's been, I guess we've been in here for 3 years.
Yeah.
And we've just we got the basic structure up with the straw bales and the cement walls, and we still have, poly and insulation showing on the inside ceilings. But none of that matters yet. But
it's not functional.
No, but we're taking care of that stuff this month, so we're hoping to have our house finally finished, and that's another reason we haven't been doing much online. It's been a lot of work.
It has. We're gonna do the seasonal clothing switch today.
Yep.
If you want help doing yours, there are pages in that Off-Grid Prep Family Ultimate Planner that help you walk through that.
Yeah.
I always dread that job.
We've noticed too, every year about this time, there's lots of food deals.
Yeah.
Still the grocery stores.
There's still deals to be had.
Yeah, lots of stuff when you go in, and there's just clearance stuff.
If you just get the loss leaders and you just get the best deals, and you go in and you get like 24 of them. Yeah,
the weird one at our grocery store, which has just been gouging people like crazy, which is Superstore. They have this bacon there. Country, I don't know.
It's the end cuts.
It's the end cuts, so it's weird looking, but it's mostly meat.
Yeah, it's better.
It's actually, sometimes you have to add a little fat to it to cook it. Yeah. And it's 375 grams, so almost a pound, for like $2.70, which is...
And they keep having it.
And it's there all the time. It's the weirdest thing. So there are still deals. And this is like... East Coast Canada, there are few worse places on the planet to buy groceries than East Coast Canada.
I follow all these Canadian coupon ladies, and they're all in Ontario, and every time they post a deal, my coupon's worth half as much, and my price is $1 or $2 more. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, must be nice.
They just gouge us.
But you don't have to live in Ontario.
You don't have to live in Ontario. Yeah, the people are a lot nicer here.
We've been doing gas and propane rotation, stocked up. And And we're gonna renovate our pantry this month. So if you want to follow that, follow us along on Instagram.
I'm excited about that. We built that pantry last year, but then we just kind of slapped it together.
It was just with like old shelves and whatever we had,
leftover wood.
It's really hard to find things. So that's our project before Christmas. And if you want to follow along, you can find us on Instagram, Off Grid Prep Family. And if you message me on Instagram, but you don't follow us or interact with us in any way, Instagram does put it in a spam folder. And honest to God, I have like 1,600 spam messages in there right now. I'm never going to find it. So if you want to contact us through Instagram, you probably have to follow us and even maybe like a couple posts before Instagram's going to show me your message.
You get in touch with us through our website.
That's
too.
true. Yeah. Yes. Thanks for listening. If you thought this was helpful, you could share it with a friend. We really appreciate that. Post it on social media. We can always tell when you guys do. Thanks so much. And we'll talk to you hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Bye.